Being strong is important, but if you don't know how to apply that strength quickly, then you're missing a major component of athletic performance and I would argue everyday performance. So today is all about power. What was that? Welcome back, recruits, to the third Iron Strong session. I'm Cayden Heller, the owner of Iron Strong Training. I've had the pleasure of training everybody from youth to pro athletes to everyday individuals, and I've taught at the university level all about exercise and the science behind it. Today is a video in the series where I'm going to try and share as much of my knowledge and experience as possible to you. We'll go over all kinds of fitness goals, the science behind them, and how to train for them. Here's our roadmap for the video. We're going to cover what power is, key adaptations that build into power, different methods of training for power, and the basics of programming for those methods. Before I continue, let me say that power is a hotly debated topic amongst coaches and other exercise professionals. We can't cover everything that there is about power in one video, but we will try to cover the most important bits in a way that will be easy to understand and digest. Power has a lot of different definitions, like the ability or rate at which one performs work, or the applied force by the velocity of movement. If power was an equation, it would look like force times distance divided by time. All of this essentially means is that power is how fast we can be strong, how quickly we can apply force. I personally consider power to be an outcome rather than its own adaptation, and there are a lot of different adaptations that build into power that we can work on at different lengths for different reasons. Here are some of those key adaptations. First off, muscular strength, which we covered last video, so go check it out. But generally, if we increase our maximum ability to produce force, then we have a greater capacity to be powerful. Next, inter/intramuscular coordination. So the better activation and timing of muscle groups working together can make movement more efficient. Plus, the synchronization of motor units and muscle fibers within those muscles can mean more effective force production. Next, better motor unit recruitment, which we talked about last video. Activating motor units and their fibers, the more powerful ones for movement, becomes more effective with training. Next, power training affects the muscle fibers in a very specific way. You see, we have different types of muscle fibers in our body. We have slow twitch, which can't produce a lot of force, but they can work longer. Fast twitch, which produce a lot of force, but can't work as long, and some that are in between. Power training and resistance training can hypertrophy fast twitch muscle fibers and also shift those in-between muscle fibers to have more qualities like fast twitch ones. They become fast twitchy. Next, the rate of force development, which is the increased speed at which we can produce force, usually what most people think of with power training, which leads to more explosive movement. After that, we have adaptations to the muscle tendon stiffness, which tendons connect muscles to bone. When the muscle contracts, like we talked about last video, it actually pulls on that tendon, which pulls on the bone, causing movement. More stiffness in that tendon can create better transmission of force and less energy loss in all of that movement. Next, we have movement efficiency, which of course, learning movement patterns allows for more cleaner movement, more power, and less energy wasted on inefficient movement. Finally, we have adaptations to your anaerobic energy systems or your short-term energy systems, which would have a higher capacity to produce energy for short-term movements, like power movement, the more you train it. As you can see, there is a lot that goes into power training. It's why I'm of the opinion that power is a little bit more of an outcome than its own individual training adaptation, although it's very easy just to simplify it down when you consider how interconnected all of those adaptations are. It's why that different training methods and exercises for power tend to focus on one of those adaptations maybe a little bit more than the other ones, which is how we get super specific with training especially for a concept as complicated as the one we're covering today. It all harkens back to that principle of specificity that we covered in our first video. Go check it out if you haven't. What this means is that power might be a lot more context specific than you might think it is. Before we move on, there's one more concept I want to cover today, and that is the stretch shortening cycle. Most powerful movements involve rapidly stretching the muscle, followed by a transition phase from resisting force to generating it, and that is followed by a concentric phase of generating and accelerating the body as quickly as possible. This sequence is called the stretch shortening cycle. There is a long list of mechanisms and theories as to what causes the stretch shortening cycle and why it's so powerful, but we're not going to get into all of that today. For now, it's important to understand that rapid stretches or eccentric phases help us generate more force on our concentric phases. So then performing more and more rapid stretch shortening cycle movements, or plyometrics, will help us generate more power. Finally, on to the practical piece, starting off with different methods for training for power. First up, something that people tend not to think of when it comes to power training, but that is heavy resistance training. I mean pure, utter strength training, heavy loads. We already covered this in a previous video, but if we want to be more powerful, we also need to be strong. Increasing our capacity to produce force gives us a greater limit to be more powerful in. Next up is ballistic training. These are exercises where you're trying to accelerate the body or the weight all the way through the entire range of motion to the point of takeoff or release. Most resistance training requires you to decelerate at the end range of motion, even if you're trying to be powerful. But exercises like a jump squat, a bench press throw, or a med ball throw don't have this limitation. You can go as hard as you can, as fast as you can, through the entire range of motion until you throw that weight or you throw your body off the ground. Similar to ballistic exercises, weightlifting movements or Olympic weightlifting, such as the snatch, the clean, the jerk, and their derivatives like push presses, hang cleans, and so on, are viable tools for increasing power. The full versions are highly technical, which is why derivatives are often used until you have the technique and ability to perform the full version, or the derivative itself is what matches your needs for training. These exercises involve accelerating the weight as fast as possible, plus you often go into a catch, a rapid deceleration, to resist that braking force. As far as training variables go for these two different methods of power training, we would want volume to be around 1 to 5 reps per set with 3 to 5 sets per exercise. Loading, we can do in a lot of different ways, anywhere from 0 to 90% of our 1 rep max. We can break it down further like this: 75% to 90% of your 1 rep max for Olympic lifts and their derivatives, 30% to 60% for Olympic lifts that are focused on speed, their derivatives, and upper body ballistic exercises, and 0 to 60% for lower body ballistic exercises. Power training tends to be very taxing on the nervous system, so our rest periods tend to be a little bit longer to allow for more recovery, anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. Plyometrics focus on the stretch shortening cycle, which we touched on earlier, and they tend to be done with very light resistance, somewhere around body weight, maybe less than body weight, and if you do add resistance, it's not going to be a lot. Plyometrics have their own measurements for volume, measuring the number of contacts in a session. This could be the number of hand touches, foot touches, whatever, but the number changes depending on your experience level. In general, beginners want to have somewhere between 80 and 100 contacts per session. Intermediates have 100 to 120 contacts per session, and advanced have 120 to 140 contacts per session. Progressing training like this can come around 3 different avenues. One is intensity, increasing the weight of an exercise, yes, but also increasing the height of a jump or the output that you're seeking from a certain plyometric exercise. Volume you already know about, increasing the sets or reps of an exercise, or the contacts when it comes to plyometrics. And finally, complexity. Are we trying to do a full power clean, or are we just trying to do a hang clean? Are we trying to do a depth drop, or are we trying to do a depth drop to broad jump? The complexity of the movement is also a way that we can be more specific with training and match our training to our needs. Now you know the concepts of power training. Remember to be specific with how you use them. If you still are unsure about your fitness goals and need more guidance, click the link in my bio to fill out the coaching application and we can smash those goals together. If you have a request or questions for a future video, drop a comment below, and also don't forget to like and subscribe to join the Iron Strong Army. I'm Coach Cayden, and of course, remember to forge your own destiny.